David sat up in the narrow bed, his throat dry, his skin damp with sweat. The station's air system had failed again. Hot air pressed against him like a heavy blanket. He needed fresh air, even if it was just the stale corridors outside his room. He slid quietly from the sheets, careful not to disturb the tall figure sleeping on the other side of the room. Shira, his alien roommate. Her breathing was soft but strange, like a low purr mixed with a hiss. She always made him uneasy, even when she seemed harmless. The metal floor was cold beneath his bare feet as he crept toward the door. His hand reached for the panel. Just one touch and the door would slide open, but it didn't. Instead, a voice came from the shadows, low, firm. "You're not leaving." David froze. The hair on his neck stood up. Slowly, he turned his head. Shira was standing in front of the door. She hadn't been asleep at all. Her tall, curved body blocked the way, her glowing silver eyes staring into his. Her tail swayed lazily behind her, like a predator waiting for its prey to make the wrong move. "Shira." His voice cracked. "I just wanted air." "I wasn't going far." Her eyes narrowed. "No." He forced a nervous laugh. "No. What do you mean, no? This isn't your room. We share it." Her steps were silent as she moved closer. She stood so near he could feel the warmth of her skin. The door's panel light blinked red, locked by her command. "You don't understand, human?" She whispered, her voice carrying a strange edge of fear. "If you leave this room tonight, you will not come back." David's stomach tightened. "What's out there?" She didn't answer. Her gaze flicked toward the thin window. Beyond it, the hallway stretched into darkness, the emergency lights flickering on and off. Then something moved. A long shadow slithered past, too large, too fast to be human. David's breath caught. What was that? Silence. She hissed, pressing a finger to his lips. Her hand was cold, her claws sharp enough to graze his skin. They listen, they smell, they hunt. He stepped back, shaking his head. "You're joking." "You have to be joking." Her tail coiled around his wrist before he could move farther. Not tight, but firm. Not violent, but unyielding. She tilted her head, studying him like a creature deciding whether to cage or protect its companion. "You stay with me, here." His heart raced. The alien girl's closeness was suffocating, her silver eyes unblinking. "And if I refuse?" He whispered, her lips curved into a small, humorless smile. "Then I keep you here by force." The room was silent except for the sound of the old ventilation system groaning in the walls. David could still see the faint shadow outside the window. Something clawed lightly at the corridor wall, metal scraping metal. Shira leaned in closer, her breath brushing his ear. "Do you hear them?" He swallowed hard. What are they?" "Hunters," she murmured. "They know I'm inside. They know you are here too. They're waiting for weakness. One step outside this door, human, and you will be nothing but bones." David's body stiffened. Her words felt too serious, too sharp to be a lie. He looked at the sealed door again, the red light glowing like blood. Trapped. Why didn't anyone warn me? His voice was barely a whisper, "Because no one survives long enough to tell," she said coldly. For a moment, David almost believed her. Almost. But another thought pressed against his fear. Why was she standing so close? Why was her tail wrapped around him like a chain? Was she really keeping him safe, or was she keeping him for herself? His throat tightened. "So all night, I'm stuck here?" Her eyes glowed brighter in the dim light. "Yes, with me. Until dawn." The hallway outside groaned again, as if some enormous weight dragged across the metal. The scratching sound grew louder. Claws on steel, David's chest rose and fell. Quickly, his breath shallow. He looked again at Shira, her silver eyes never leaving his face. There was something strange in her gaze, now half warning, half hunger. He tried to pull his wrist free. Her tail tightened. "You're hurting me," he whispered. "No," she whispered back. "I'm saving you." The lights above flickered once, twice, then died, plunging the room into near darkness. Only her glowing eyes remained, bright in the shadows. The scratching outside the door stopped. Silence, too much silence, then a single sound, dot, thud, dot, something. Heavy slammed against the door. David jumped, his pulse racing. The door shook again. Thud, scratch, thud. The metal bent inward slightly, the frame screeching. He stared at Shira in panic. "It's coming in. We need to run." Her sharp teeth flashed as she whispered, calm but chilling, "There is nowhere to run. There's only me and the night." David's back hit the wall, his chest tight with fear. He looked at the alien. Girl, her glowing eyes locked on his, her body blocking every path of escape, and in that moment, he realized the truth. He wasn't trapped by the monsters outside. He was trapped by the one inside. Asterisk, the pounding on the door faded. But the silence it left behind was worse. David's chest rose and fell quickly, his ears straining for the next sound. Nothing came, no claws, no growl, just silence. He looked at Shira. She stood motionless, her glowing silver eyes locked on the door. Her tail was coiled tightly around her waist, like even she was afraid to move. Finally, David whispered, "What are those things? What's really out there?" Shira turned her head slowly, her sharp profile lit by the weak emergency light. For the first time since he had met her, she looked human, not in her shape, but in her fear. "They are hunters," she said. "Not like you understand. They don't eat flesh. They drink fear. They wait until the prey trembles, then they come." David frowned. "Fear? That's insane." Her gaze returned to him, unblinking. "And yet you feel it now, don't you?" He swallowed hard. His heart was beating so fast it hurt. He wanted to deny it, to laugh in her face. But the truth was written in the sweat on his skin, the tremble in his hands. She was right. Shira stepped closer, lowering her voice. "They already smell you. If you step outside, they will tear you apart before you can scream." David's throat tightened. Then why not tell the commander? Why not warn the station? Her jaw flexed, her sharp teeth glinting. Because the station already belongs to them. They live in the walls now. No one dares speak of it, those who do. She paused, eyes narrowing. They don't live long. A chill crept through David's spine. Then why am I alive? Shira tilted her head, studying him as if the answer was carved into his skin. Her tail uncoiled, brushing lightly against his arm. "Because you are with me," he blinked. "What does that mean?" Her hand moved to his chest, pressing flat against his racing heart. "They will not touch what I claim." David flinched, stepping back until his shoulders hit the wall. "Claim? I'm not your pet." Her lips curved in a faint, humorless smile. "You would rather be theirs?" The scratching returned louder this time. Something dragged along the metal outside the door, circling like a wolf sniffing at its prey. The sound made David's skin crawl. He wanted to scream. He wanted to run. But Shira's cold hand pressed harder against his chest, holding him in place. "Do you want to live?" She whispered. His breath caught. "Yes, then stay where you are." The scratching paused. The silence returned, heavier than before. David forced himself to breathe quietly, every inhale loud in his ears. Then, without warning, Shira stepped closer again. Her body was inches from his, her silver eyes glowing in the shadows. "If you tremble, they will know," she whispered. "So you must not." "I'm not trembling," he lied. She leaned in, her sharp teeth flashing in a smile. "You are. I can feel it." David's stomach twisted. She was too close. He could smell her strange, sweet, almost metallic. His own fear burned hotter in her presence. Why are you doing this? His voice cracked. Why won't you just let me leave? Shira's eyes softened, but her grip stayed firm. Because if you walk out that door, you will never come back. And she hesitated, her voice dropping. I cannot let that happen. David stared at her, caught between suspicion and something else he couldn't name. So you're protecting me? Her smile faded. Perhaps. Or perhaps I am protecting myself. The scratching outside grew sharper. Something heavy slammed the door again. The frame bent, metal whining. David's heart leapt into his throat. They're breaking in? Shira pressed her forehead against his, silencing him with the strange heat of her touch. If you make a sound, they will know your weakness. If they know, they will never stop. Her glowing eyes filled his vision, her breath hot against his skin. The walls shook again as claws raked across the door, and then silence. David dared not breathe. Shira stayed pressed against him, whispering so quietly he almost didn't hear. Now you understand. Tonight you belong to me. Or you belong to them. The silence stretched too long. David could hear nothing but his own heartbeat thundering in his ears. His chest felt heavy, like the air itself was pressing down on him. Shira hadn't moved. Her forehead was still close to his, her silver eyes glowing faint in the dark. Her tail had wrapped around his wrist again, gentler now, but still refusing to let him go. Finally, David whispered, Tell me the truth. What do they want? What do you want? Her eyes flickered just for a second. A hesitation. And then something he hadn't seen before. Guilt. They hunt me, she said softly. Not you. You were only caught in it because you lived beside me. David blinked. What do you mean? Why you? Shira looked away, her jaw tight, her sharp teeth showing in the dim light. Because I am not like the others on this station, my blood, my kind. It calls to them. They smell me, they follow me. I cannot escape it. David's breath quickened. Then all this time, you knew? You knew you were being hunted and you still stayed here? Her gaze returned to him. This time her eyes weren't cold or cruel. They were desperate. If I leave this room, I die. If I stay alone, they come inside. The only way to keep them out. She stopped herself. Her lips pressed into a hard line. David leaned forward. Say it, she swallowed, her silver eyes unsteady. The only way to keep them away is if they believe I am not prey. If they believe I already belong to a predator stronger than them. The words hung in the air like a trap. David's throat tightened. So, you're using me. Her tail twitched, coiling tighter around his wrist. I am keeping you alive. That is different. His chest rose and fell faster. You didn't give me a choice. Her face was closer now. Too close. He could see the faint lines of her alien markings glowing faintly along her neck. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Neither did they. David felt his back press harder into the wall, as if he could push himself through it. So, this whole night, you're keeping me here to make them think I'm yours? Shira's lips curled slightly, not in a smile, but in something darker. Yes. He tried to pull his hand free, but her grip tightened. She leaned in, her voice trembling now. Do you think I enjoy this? Do you think I wanted it? I am a soldier of my people. I was trained to kill, not to hide in the dark like prey, and yet, her silver eyes softened, searching his face. Yet I cannot face them alone, not tonight. Her confession struck harder than the pounding on the door had. David had seen her fight before, strong, fearless, almost inhuman, but this was different. She wasn't fearless now. She was afraid, and she was binding that fear to him. Outside, the scratching started again, slow this time. A long, dragging sound, like claws sliding across the doorframe. David's stomach twisted. He looked back at her. What if I say no? What if I don't want to be part of this? Shira's glowing eyes narrowed. Then they will break in. They will smell your fear, and they will feast on both of us. Her words were sharp, but her voice cracked at the edges. For the first time, David wondered if her strength was nothing but armor. Armor that was breaking. He tried to steady his voice. So this is your plan? All night we just sit here pretending I belong to you? She tilted her head, her lips close to his ear now. Pretend if you wish. But the longer you deny it, the more they will circle. The dragging sound outside grew louder, now paired with a faint growl, deep and unnatural. The door shuddered. David's heart pounded. His skin burned under her touch. He couldn't tell if it was fear or something else. XIR, a single quote says, voice soft again, almost breaking. I have no home, no family, only this station, only this room. And now, only you. If you leave me tonight, I die. If you stay, her lips hovered inches from his cheek. We both live. The growl outside rose into a sharp screech, claws hammering against the door. David's body tensed. He looked at her glowing eyes, at her trembling hands gripping him as if he was her last chance, and he realized the truth. This wasn't only about monsters outside. It was about the one inside too, an alien girl who would do anything to keep him close, even if it meant chaining him in fear. The door bent inward, sparks flying as metal cracked. Shira pulled him down onto the bed, her voice fierce now. Choose, human. Do you stay with me, or do you die with them? Asterisk, the lights flickered once, then went out completely. The room was swallowed in blackness. Only 2 silver orbs glowed faintly Shira's eyes. David's breath caught. He couldn't see the walls, couldn't see the door, just her eyes. Watching him, outside, the scratching had stopped. No growl, no sound at all. And that silence felt worse than the noise. It was like the monsters were holding their breath, waiting for him to make a mistake. Shira's hand pressed against his chest. Don't move. Her voice was low, almost a whisper, but in the dark, it sounded louder, heavier. David swallowed. Are they gone? Her eyes didn't blink. No, they're listening. A shiver crawled down his spine. He wanted to argue, to call her paranoid. But the silence outside, it felt alive. Shira moved closer, the bed creaking under her weight. He felt the warmth of her body, the strange sweetness of her scent. Her tail slid across the sheets, brushing against his leg. David tensed. Why are you so close? Her silver eyes narrowed slightly, glowing brighter. Because if they hear your heart pounding, if they hear your breath shaking, they will know, they will come. But if they hear me near you, if they believe you are mine, her voice dropped, almost trembling, they will stay away. His throat tightened. You're saying we have to lie together all night? She tilted her head, her sharp teeth catching the faint light. Not lie, stay, as if we're one. David's breath grew shallow. His mind screamed to push her away, but his body stayed frozen. He couldn't tell if it was fear or something else. Outside, a low scraping returned, slow, deliberate. The creatures hadn't gone. They were circling. Shira's arms wrapped around him suddenly, pulling him down flat against the bed. Don't fight me, she hissed. David's heart leapt. What are you? Her hand clamped over his mouth, her claws pricking his skin. Quiet, they are listening. Her body pressed against his, her hair brushing his cheek, her breath warm on his ear. She held him there, her heartbeat steady. While his thundered like a drum, David closed his eyes, trying to will himself calm. But every part of him screamed. He could feel her claws, her tail, her warmth. She wasn't letting go, finally. She whispered against his skin, Do you think I want this? To be trapped with you? To pretend? Her words startled him. Then why? He whispered back when she lifted her hand. Her glowing eyes hovered above his, closer than ever. Because they fear predators. And tonight, you must be one. David tried to laugh, but his voice cracked. Me? I'm not a predator. I'm nothing like you. Her lips curved, not in humor, but in something darker. Then let them believe you are mine. Let them believe you are stronger than them. It is the only way. The scratching grew louder, claws dragging down the door. The whole room shuddered as something heavy slammed against it. David's chest rose and fell faster, panic rushing through him. They're getting in. Shira pressed her forehead to his, her sharp teeth bared in a whisper. Then hold still and prove you are mine. His body froze. The sound outside stopped. The silence returned, heavy and sharp. For a moment, it almost felt like the room itself was holding its breath. David's mind spun. He didn't know what was worse, the monsters waiting outside, or the alien girl holding him down inside. Her glowing eyes were the only thing he could see, her warmth the only thing he could feel. He whispered, "And if I can't do this?" Her lips hovered near his ear. "Then you die." The bed creaked again as the door shook violently. Sparks flew in the dark. A growl echoed through the hall, low and hungry. Shira's claws dug slightly into his arm, not enough to wound, but enough to keep him still. "Don't break," she whispered fiercely. "Don't show fear." David's breath trembled, but his voice didn't. "Then you better not let go of me." For the first time all night, her eyes softened, but only for a moment. Then the glow sharpened again, like steel. The door bent inward with a scream of metal. Something massive was forcing its way through, and Shira pulled David closer, pressing her lips near his ear, whispering the words that made his blood run cold. "If they come in, we don't hide. We fight as one." The sound came like thunder, crack. The door frame bent inward, sparks spitting out as claws tore through the metal. Something massive slammed again, shaking the entire room. David's body jolted. He tried to sit up, but Shira pinned him down against the bed, her tail coiling tight around his waist. "Don't move," she hissed. His eyes went wide. "They're breaking through. We can't just lie here." Her hand covered his mouth, sharp claws grazing his cheek. "Silence. If they hear panic, they will tear it open faster." Outside, the growls multiplied. Not one creature. Not two. Many. The scratching claws raked down the metal like knives on bone. David's chest hammered under her grip. He pushed at her shoulders, desperate. "We're trapped. They're coming in." Shira's glowing eyes locked on him, fierce and steady. "Then we must make them believe this place is already claimed. That you're not prey." His voice cracked. "Claimed? How?" Before he could finish, the door shrieked as metal bent further. A dark claw punched through the seam, curling like a hook. David's breath stopped. His body stiffened in terror. Shira's arms wrapped tight around him, dragging him deeper into the bed. She pressed her face close to his neck, her sharp teeth brushing his skin. He gasped. "What are you?" Her whisper cut him off. "If they believe you are mine, they will back away. If they believe you are trembling prey, they will enter and feed." David's pulse roared in his ears. "You can't be serious." The creature slammed again, the door caving deeper. Another claw slipped through, scraping the air. Shira's tail tightened like a rope, pulling him against her body. Her hand gripped his jaw, forcing his face toward hers. Her glowing eyes blazed, her breath hot. "Be still, or we both die." His chest rose and fell in ragged bursts. He could feel every inch of her body pressed to his, her claws against his skin. He was no longer sure if the fear came from outside the door Or from the alien holding him down? Then silence. The creature stopped. David froze, hardly daring to breathe. The claws withdrew from the door with a slow, scraping hiss, but the silence wasn't safe. It was worse. They hadn't left. They were waiting, listening. Shira's lips brushed his ear. They're testing us. If they hear weakness, if they smell fear, they will come again. David's body trembled despite himself. And if I can't control it? Her sharp teeth glinted as she whispered, then I will claim you fully, and they will believe. His heart thudded painfully. Claim me? What does that even mean? Her eyes softened for a fraction of a second, as if even she didn't want to admit it. It means you're mine. And once I mark you, nothing human or monster will see you as prey again. The words sent a chill through him. Was she protecting him? Or trapping him forever? The door groaned again, a dent pushing inward as if something pressed its massive weight against it. The creatures hadn't gone. They were waiting for the smallest crack. David's body shook despite his efforts. He clenched his fists, trying to steady himself. I can't do this. Shira's claws stroked down his arm, light but sharp. Then let me do it for you. Her face lowered, her sharp teeth brushing close to his throat. His breath caught, fear and heat tangling together. Stop, he whispered, though his voice carried no strength. Her eyes glowed brighter. This is how you live, human. This is how we both live. The monsters outside screeched suddenly, a chorus of hunger rattling the walls. The door split open slightly, sparks raining down. David's chest heaved. His mind screamed to escape, but there was nowhere to go. Only her. Only the alien girl pressing closer, her tail binding him, her voice a whisper of fire. Choose, David. She murmured, let me claim you, or let them take you. The door burst with another crash, metal snapping, claws curling inside. A foul stench of cold air and decay filled the room. David's heart stopped. His body trembled violently, and in that exact moment, Shira bared her sharp teeth, her eyes blazing like silver fire, and whispered the words that would decide his fate. You are mine. Now, the door cracked wider. Cold air seeped into the room, carrying the stench of rot. A claw slid through the gap, black and glistening, its tip carving sparks as it dragged across the floor. David's breath hitched. His whole body shook. He wanted to scream, but Shira's hand was already over his mouth, her claws resting against his cheek. Her glowing eyes bore into his. This is it, she whispered. They know you are weak. They can smell it. The creatures outside screeched, their voices rising like a chorus of hunger. Another claw ripped through the door. Sparks lit the dark room for a second, just enough for David to see the shadow of something massive pushing against the frame. His heart thundered. His body trembled. He couldn't stop it. Shira leaned closer, her tail winding tighter around him, locking him to her. You must choose, human. Do you die with them, or live with me? Her sharp teeth brushed against his neck. His skin burned under her touch. He gasped against her hand, words muffled. She pulled it away slowly, but her claws stayed close to his lips. Speak, she demanded. Now, David's voice cracked. I don't want this. Her eyes softened, but only for a heartbeat. Neither do I, but survival is not about what we want. It's about what we become. The door groaned louder, bending inwards, metal screaming under pressure. A single glowing eye appeared through the crack red, unblinking, fixed on him. David's stomach lurched. The creature was staring straight at him. Shira's hand gripped his jaw, forcing his gaze back to her. Don't look at them. Look at me. I can't. Yes, you can, she snapped. Then her voice softened, trembling in the dark. Because if you don't, we die. Her forehead pressed against his. Her breath was hot, her body tight against his trembling form. Say it, human. Say you are mine. David's chest heaved. He wanted to push her away, to run, to fight. But the claw in the door twitched, scraping deeper into the room. The red eye glowed brighter. The monsters knew. They were waiting for weakness, and he was weakness. His voice came out broken. If I say yes, they'll stop. Shira's silver eyes locked on him. Yes, his throat tightened. And if I say no? Her sharp teeth flashed in the faint light. Then they come inside, and there will be nothing left of you. The sound outside grew unbearable, claws tearing, metal snapping. The red eye widened, filled with hunger. David's mind screamed. He had no choice, none. Shira's lips brushed his ear as she whispered, "Say it." His body trembled. His chest ached. But the word finally tore itself from his throat. Yours. The instant the word left his mouth, the red glow outside flickered. The claws paused. The scratching stopped. Silence. For the first time all night. The creatures pulled back. Their heavy steps echoed down the corridor, fading into the dark. The air grew still again. David's entire body sagged in relief. His breath rushed out in a broken gasp. They're gone. Shira's arms stayed tight around him. Her glowing eyes burned into his face, unblinking. Yes, because now they believe you belong to me. He swallowed hard, his stomach twisting, but I only said it. I didn't mean. Her sharp teeth glinted in a faint smile. It doesn't matter what you mean. It matters what they believe. And tonight, they believe you are mine. David froze under her grip. There was no relief in her voice. No joy, just possession. The monsters outside were gone. But the prison in the room remained. Shira leaned closer, her claws sliding lightly across his arm. And now, human, you cannot take it back. The bed creaked under their weight, the air thick with silence. The door stood half broken, hanging on its hinges, but the danger outside was gone. It was the danger inside that David felt now. Shira whispered one last time, her voice low, certain, and cold. Dawn will come, but when it does, you will still be mine. The station fell quiet, no scratching, no growls, no claws tearing at the metal. Only the broken door creaking softly in the still air. David lay frozen on the bed, Shira's arms still wrapped tight around him. Her silver eyes glowed in the darkness. Unblinking, watching him, his chest rose and fell in ragged breaths. He wanted to feel safe now that the monsters were gone. But the weight pressing down on him wasn't outside the door anymore. It was the alien girl holding him like a cage. Finally, he whispered, "They're gone. Let me go." Her grip didn't loosen. Her tail curled tighter around his waist, her claws brushing faintly across his arm. No, they're never gone. They wait. They listen. They remember. David shook his head. But you said they pulled back. You said I'm safe. Her lips curved in a faint smile. You are safe because you are mine. His stomach tightened. The way she said it, cold, certain, made it clear. She wasn't just protecting him anymore. She was claiming him. Hours passed in silence. The night stretched longer than it should have, every minute dragging. David's eyes burned with exhaustion, but he couldn't sleep. Every time he shifted, Shira's grip only grew tighter. Her voice came softly in the dark. You think when dawn comes, I will release you? His throat tightened. Won't you? She tilted her head, her glowing eyes narrowing. No, once claimed, always claimed. That is our way. That is my way. David's heart sank. He pushed against her arm, trying to free himself. I didn't agree to that. Her sharp teeth flashed in the dim light. You did, when you spoke the word, when you called yourself mine. That was just to survive. He snapped, panic rising. Shira leaned closer, her breath warm against his cheek. Survival is everything. Do you think they care if you lied? Do you think they cannot smell truth from fear? They believed because you believed even for a moment. Her words cut deep, because in that moment of terror, when the red eye had stared through the broken door, he had believed. He had given himself to her, if only to live. The thought made his chest tighten. He whispered, almost pleading, "When dawn comes, you'll let me walk away, right?" Her tail slid higher along his side, binding him like a rope. "You will walk, but not away. Beside me. Always." The silence pressed heavy again. Outside, faint light bled through the cracks of the station walls. Dawn was coming, David's eyes fixed on the sliver of gray light. Freedom, escape. The creatures outside feared the day. If he could just wait, if he could just hold out, maybe he could run, but Shira's grip didn't ease. Her glowing eyes burned into him as if she read his thoughts. "You are thinking of leaving," she whispered. He froze. Her claws traced lightly along his chest, sharp enough to remind him how easily they could pierce. "Run, and you will die, not by them. By me." His breath caught. She wasn't bluffing. The room filled with a strange silence, heavier than any noise the monsters had made, and then light. The first ray of dawn broke through the cracked door, casting pale gold across the room. The growls outside faded completely. The monsters had retreated into the shadows of the station. David's heart leapt with hope. "It's over. We survived the night." Shira's claws traced one last time across his skin before pulling back. Her silver eyes softened, but only for a second. "Yes, we survived, together." She uncoiled her tail slowly, but her gaze never left his face. "Now the night has ended, but the bond does not." David sat up quickly, his legs weak beneath him. He stared at the broken door, the path beyond it open at last. Freedom, so close, but as he took a single step, her voice stopped him cold. "If you cross that door alone, human?" He turned. Shira was still on the bed, her silver eyes glowing even in the morning light. Her voice carried no anger, no fear, only certainty. "I will come for you. And next time, I will not let you leave at all." The silence that followed was worse than the growls had ever been. David's chest pounded. The monsters outside might have retreated, but the real trap had just begun.